that he was getting from Anchor. He loves feedback.
Everybody loves feedback.
So we've got some Quinnipiac polls, some new numbers out this morning. They show they show President Trump's approval rating now sits at 36%.
That sounds about right.
That's down 1 point from almost 3 weeks ago. But contrast that number with where Trump stood a year ago during his first week in office. Just like today, 36% approved of the president then, but only 44% disapproved, compared to 59% who disapprove today. When voters were asked to grade Trump's first year in office, 60% gave Trump a passing grade. 39% gave him an F. Trump's grade increased among Republicans, with 96% giving him a passing grade, compared to 65% of independents and 30% of Democrats who gave Trump a D or above. And among younger voters, do you want me to stop?
No, I was getting nervous because that reminded me of all my report cards.
Right. Well, I'm beginning to get hives, too. Among younger voters, this is ages 18 to 34. And this is important because the president would know that's the demo. That's like you want those numbers to be high in the television world because that apparently amounts to money in advertising. 67% disapprove of the president. 75% say he does not share their values. 81% feel he is not level-headed. 72% believe he is not honest. 69% say he doesn't care about average Americans. So, his ratings are very bad.
Let's just keep it right there and put those numbers back up again, because Mike Barnicle, we're going to be talking about more Republicans who are quitting the House. This is turning into a nightmare for the House Republicans. And in large part, Republicans appear to be headed towards a historic loss in the midterms, because the suburbs that even Trump won by a couple of points last year have completely changed. Obviously, there's more intensity among Democratic voters, more intensity among non-white voters, more intensity also, so importantly, among millennials. And this is, you know, it used to be people would say, well, young people don't vote. It's changing. And millennials will soon be a larger demographic group than baby boomers, which will mean this. Put the numbers back up again. And as you put the numbers up, this is soon going to be Republicans who are marching off a cliff for a lifelong Democrat who still thinks he's on a reality show. This Mike Barnicle, this group of people are going to be the largest demographic group of voters in American history. And they are flying away from Donald Trump and the Republican Party as fast as they can.
Well, a couple of things. You get the sense, or at least I get the sense from talking to people, that they have overestimated the size and the strength of their base, of Donald Trump's base. He's got a considerable base, but I don't think it's 32 or 35%. The other aspect of the numbers that we've shown there and the presidency as it's been played out is they are out of tune, out of sync in a large way with much of the rest of the country. And this is evidenced, I think, from anecdotal evidence talking to people again, is the other day, yesterday or the day before, they had a raid on a number of 7-Elevens around the country, okay? Last year in this country, there were 64,000 deaths from opioid abuse. That's what people are concerned about more than they are a wall. Or is there an illegal El Salvador, someone from El Salvador working behind the counter of 7-Eleven? And yet there's very little done about opioid abuse in this administration.
But so, Nick, if you go back and look at those numbers that we put up, though, where the approval rating at 67, the disapproval at 67% for the president among voters 18 to 34. If you are a Republican who cares about his or her party, who cares about the future of the party, who cares about the future of winning elections to have your worldview be the dominant one in this country, what are you thinking as you look at that number right there?
I am thinking that President Trump is branding my party for a generation.
Right.
Look, The president will be gone in 3 years or 7 years. And when he is gone, though, the legacy of what he did and the image he created for his party among young voters is going to continue in the same way that it's worked in the opposite for a president like Reagan, who created a positive image among these same voters in the 80s. He is creating a disaster for his party. It is amazing to think in this midterm, the economy is growing pretty fast and jobs are growing pretty fast. And there's no intern scandal in the House or kind of any of these other things we would normally associate with building into a wave. It is all Trump.
It is all Trump, just like 1994. Again, the economy was strong, but you had Bill Clinton, who seemed disconnected. And I want to go back to what you said about Ronald Reagan. I was 18 the first time Reagan was elected, and everybody in my class, everybody in my class, who a lot of them from Democratic families, a lot of lifelong Democratic people, everybody supported Reagan. It was like, you know what, Democrats are weak. This guy's strong. This guy's going to take care of the hostages in Iran, and he's going to take care of this, and he's going to take care of that. And I read, 20, 30 years later that your political, what you are politically at 18 is what you are politically, for most people, the rest of your life.
Yep.
And that's why your point is so important. Republicans think right now that they can just skate, and Donald Trump can tweet misogynist things about Democratic senators, and he can tweet racist things. He can go to Charlottesville and find something nice to say about neo-Nazis. And Republicans think, well, you know what, he'll be gone in a couple of years. No, he is destroying the Republican Party for years to come. He just is.
If not.
Especially, again, Bob Costa among millennials who just absolutely are repelled by him. And it appears a lot of Republican congressmen are starting to see this and understanding if they're in a district that even resembles a swing district, they know they're going to get pounded by suburban voters, by black voters, by millennials, by Hispanic voters, by women voters. And that's why you had another veteran Republican yesterday announcing that he wasn't going to seek re-election. Of course, I'm talking about Darrell Issa, well-known congressman from California. He says he's going to be leaving Congress after this year. And Bob, this news comes just 2 days after you had Ed Royce, one of the most senior and powerful Republicans in the Republican California delegation, stepping away. So there are now 31 House Republicans who've said they're not going to seek re-election. 19 are retiring and 12 are running for higher office. And the last time this happened was 1994 when 28 Democrats left, and we know how that story ended. So what are the Republicans in the House thinking? Is there anybody with any hope that this is going to turn around? Or is there anybody, any leader thinking, okay, we can go along with Donald Trump's policies, but how do we start separating ourselves from the parts of his personality that are making Republicans lose a generation of voters?
Well, here's what's interesting, Joe. So many of these lawmakers who are retiring, they say that President Trump's conduct and his comments are very damaging for their reelection prospects, and a lot of them are heading toward the exits because of that. When I say has Donald Trump changed the Republican Party, they say he actually does not have as much influence as a Ronald Reagan had over the Republican Party. Trumpism, this hard line on trade, on immigration, they don't see it seeping into the party. Where are the think tanks for this brand of republicanism? Where are the allies on Capitol Hill echoing President Trump in his position? Does President Trump have a grip on power in the party? Certainly he does. But whether he has a long-term effect on the ideological drift of the Republican Party, that really hasn't been decided.
Well, that may be, Heidi, because it's not clear what his ideology is. It's not clear what he believes. Take that meeting 2 days ago, the open 55-minute TV meeting where he went back and forth on immigration and said a bunch of things that contradicted, obviously, conservative ideology, but even his own comments in the past. So I'm just wondering about these members of Congress who have spent the last year not criticizing President Trump, in fact, going along with most of the things he's done, even in easy moments like Charlottesville, not going after him. Do they worry about the kind of numbers we look at there with millennials? Do they worry about the future of their party when they see what he may be doing to the next generation and the generation after that of Republicans?
You look at the fact that they got the crown jewel of their agenda passed, which is the tax cuts. The economy is seemingly humming along with a low unemployment rate, business confidence high, and yet this president is still stuck now in the 30s. But it's not just Trump. It is the substance of that crown jewel, guys. I want to point you to, in specific, some of these seats in New York and California, whereby with this tax bill, the GOP really helped to decimate some of these lawmakers, because when you look at these districts, they are essentially socially moderate districts. They tend to be, pro-LGBTQ, abortion, pro-choice on abortion, social issues. But what do they really care about? Boy, they read their tax bills. And some of these members that you see heading for the exits, they're the ones that are really going to take it on the chin with this SALT provision in the tax bill. So that's one thing to watch. But also, when you look at the composition of the members who are retiring, they're going to be hard to replace because they represent specific districts, key constituencies like Ed Royce and Asian Americans. Ileana Ros-Lehtinen has a very deep base within the Cuban population. Frank Lobiondo with the labor community. So that's why immediately you're seeing some of these ratings groups change these races overnight from lean Republican to lean Democratic. And we're not even getting into yet some of these other districts that have Republican advantages, but Democrats are going to be really expanding the map to play in those districts as well.
And Mika, picking up on what Heidi said, for the life of me, and we said it in real time, I can't imagine why any Republican in California, Illinois, New York, or other high-tax states would have ever voted for a bill, a tax bill, that made small business owners in their states go from paying the highest state taxes in America to the highest state taxes plus this, basically this penalty that is assessed from this tax bill.
Yeah.
I mean, it's political death. So, yeah, they're retiring now. Great. They probably should have voted against a bad tax bill.
Perhaps. Still ahead on Morning Joe, President Trump tells Republicans to, quote, take control of the Russia investigation. We'll show you how Capitol Hill is responding to that. Plus, Kellyanne Conway insists nobody in the West Wing talks about Hillary Clinton.
All right, fair enough.
Apparently, she was watching something else all day yesterday.
What do you mean? I don't understand. What?
I am for the strongest military that the United States ever had. Putin can't love that. But Hillary was not for a strong military, and Hillary, my opponent, was for windmills. And she was for other types of energy that don't have the same capacities at this moment, certainly.